Switch me into the mains. Well, that's just live. That's just live, guys. So, Greg, how long have we got you for?
Actually, you've got me for a little bit longer. So tonight I've agreed to pick up our Danish starlet Jonas Knudsen from Edinburgh Airport, which was meant to be getting him at 10:15, but it's now been delayed till 11 o'clock, so I'll not have to get out of here till about 10ish. So you can have me for as long as you want, within reason.
That's great news. Greg, would you like to do the honours and introduce our esteemed guests this evening?
Well, I mean, do these boys really need that much of an introduction?
Well, I'd like to give them an introduction because I think they're the best commentators in the business. But
you're right there. So you've got the man down here. You've got the Mythman, James Black. How are you?
Fine, man. Fine. How's yourself?
I'm absolutely fantastic. I'm chuffed to bits that we're all here having going to be having a good chat tonight. And to my mat, nope, there. It's a reverse screen. And on this side, we've got Marty Clyde. Marty, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Very well indeed, yes. Hello, everybody.
Well, I would like to start off. Oh, sorry, and we've got Paul down there. Got Paul down there as well. But hi, Paul. How are you? You all right? Sorry about that.
Rushed as usual, but never mind.
Rushed as usual. So I would like to start with Cardiff. Negative things and everything else, and people just doing their usual whinging. Riders doing a bit of whinging as well. Now, Dan Bewley may have won the Grand Prix, but Marty, I think you won Cardiff overall, did you not? Would you like to tell us a little bit about Cardiff?
Well, where do I start, really? At the beginning is usually a good place. So just soaking up the atmosphere on Saturday afternoon or evening, Graham. Or rather, good night, Graham.
Good night, Graham.
Just soaking up the atmosphere in Cardiff, having a couple of refreshments, shall we say, and out of nowhere, a friend of the show, I'll not go into names because I don't want to embarrass them, but appeared out of nowhere with pit passes for my wife and my good friends Stuart and Corrine. So I managed to get a little trip down to the pit lane on Saturday afternoon where I got to meet my my childhood Speedway hero, Mr. Hans Nielsen. So after that, I would have went home. The rest of it was marvellous. But if anybody's seen the picture, you could see how chuffed I was to meet him, even though it was brief. So,
still, yeah. And obviously, gamble responsibly, but did you not have a little flutter on Mr. Bewley as well?
Yes, I had £5 on Dan Bewley at 11-1 to win outright. So I got £60 back. So not a bad day's left. And my wife had money on him as well, and she got about £40. So Dan Bewley nearly paid for her day out.
Oh well, no, that you can't argue with that. So it sounds like it's going to be a Cardiff that you'll never forget anyway.
Certainly not. And to that end, I met another 4 times champion of the world, Mr. Greg Hancock.
Oh.
And I was fortunate enough to have a little chat with Greg as well. And I said to him, I met you at Barrett and Loft when I was 10-year-old, and I'm now 40. And you could see, it obviously didn't take too kindly to that one, but and I says, I can remember speaking to you vividly in the pits as you walked out of Barrett and Loft. And he went, yeah, I remember being there. He says, it was a track just sort of in the middle of nowhere, but one that I enjoyed riding. And he then turned to me and said, there was a nightclub in Berwick. What was it called? And he was going like this. And he said, was it called Bedrocks? I went, aye, that's right, aye. And he says, well, after the Speedway, Jimmy took Billy and I out to Berwick and we ended up in Bedrocks. So there you go, there's the story. Man. The Grin was in Bedrocks, giving it 6 now in 1991.
Fantastic, eh? Fantastic.
It just shows you, once you've been to Bedrocks, you never forget.
Aye,
quite clearly.
There you go. And James, yourself, did you have a decent a decent Cardiff. I see you had your nephew was on the is it the Speedway? What is it, the kids bike?
Yes,
With,
the SGP3 bike, I think, that's sort of in development at the moment, and we were fortunate enough to be speaking to Tony Ricardson himself, obviously a man that needs no introduction either. 6-time world champion and arguably one of the best riders, if not the best rider ever, in terms of sort of individual achievements anyway. So yeah, we were. It was really good actually. There was a sort of small queue. We were at the fan zone quite early before the heat got up, and we were quite fortunate that Tony Ricardson stood and spoke to us for must have been a good 10 minutes or something like that, and blathered away and was telling us all about the bikes and stuff like that. And it's all quite interesting what they're trying to achieve, and it was something that yourself you'll know having started out obviously a wee while ago now, but when you're starting out, to kind of not cobble stuff together, but it's an expensive sort of stuff in kit for them almost to make like a 125 bike or whatever to start out. And basically what they're wanting to do is have a bike that you buy essentially from the shop, ready to rock and roll, to be able to compete at that level. So what was quite interesting though was that you reckon that the 125 engine in that bike wasn't quite strong enough, and they had I think it was a 212 or a 215 engine in it, and I reckon that like about pulled your arms off. It was far too strong, so they're probably going to have to go, somewhere in between with it. But yeah, it was all quite interesting. Yeah, a good weekend had by all, and I also had money on Dan Bewley. So there you go. And I never bet. And a fun fact for you, I bet every year I go to Cardiff, and that is the first time I've ever had a return on any bets I've ever placed.
That's not bad.
Folks say I'm an expert, apparently. I should know nothing.
Well, I was silly because I had, and also while I'm on the subject of this, I would just like to make an apology to anybody who was maybe a little bit cross about our live stream that we did on Thursday, when I did have one too many. If I did say anything out of turn, I apologise for that. I just thought it would be, some thought it was quite funny, but I'm sure that there was others maybe thought it was a little bit naughty, so I'm sorry for that. But yeah, had quite a few drinks in the run up to it. The atmosphere at Cardiff. There's no point battering on about what it's like because you just have to go to experience it. And yeah, I kind of got caught up in the moment and text everybody I knew to back Dan Bewley. I'd never done it myself. So I know my cousin won some money. I think I text my cousin saying stick the hoose on Dan Bewley because I've got this feeling. And then after his first race, I was like, yeah, he's doing well. And then to sort of get into the meeting, obviously being in the crowd, you can't really hear what they're saying during the interviews. I watched it back when I got back on Monday. Monday. Watched it back on Monday, and there was quite a lot of complaints about the way the track was, and I found it pretty cool that Dan Bewley just kept grinning and was not phased at all. It was just get on with it. It's the same for everyone. Just get out there, and it's meetings like that where it separates the men from the boys, so to speak. Dan Bewley is one of the youngest lads in that GP series, probably the most inexperienced on the Grand Prix circuit, but he just went out there, enjoyed it. I remember speaking in the black and gold. It was after the pool meeting got cancelled with that torrential rain that we had. It was when the BSN were going to be there, Scunthorpe. And we were watching the Grand Prix in the black and gold, and I was with Theo Piper and David Howe, and Dan Bewley had won a race, and David Howe turned around and he says he'll win at Cardiff, and I says what makes you say that? And he went, he doesn't get nervous. It was something like he doesn't get nervous with the crowd. It excites him. it's not like, a lot of people, they would be a bit overwhelmed to walk out to that, whereas Bewley's more like, ho, 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 here we go, sort of thing. And I think that did show the excitement levels, and
You
he was
know,
just super chilled.
you don't think, Greg, though, and the rest is, but when you see Dan Bewley interviewed, he's very sort of matter of fact, and like it's almost like he doesn't realise how good it actually is because he's not overthinking it, he's not over complexing it. He just gets on his bike and gets on with it. And to that end, on Saturday night, obviously, well, we're claiming him as our own, but we'll get onto that later, Paul. Leon Flint, how good was he? He just got on with it as well.
Yeah.
You know, the chances that he got, he rode with great maturity and just got on with it. And bar for a couple of exclusions for other people and followers, he probably could have got a few more points.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Hats off to him.
I think just to touch on what you've both already said as well, is like with Bewley, as I say, there was riders obviously complaining about the track, some more than others. And there was riders that you normally don't see complaining about anything that were complaining about the track as well. And I think that there was, Leon Madsen was one of them who was complaining about the track, obviously. And I'd say he was probably, certainly from, I haven't watched it like the coverage back, but certainly from what we could see what was going on in the pits or behind the scenes at the meeting itself, it certainly looked like Madsen was the main sort of complainer, as it were. And, I think when he was, I'm going to say it, he was pissing about when he had to choose his gates for the semi-final, just wasting time and all this gamesmanship and bullshit, quite frankly, that doesn't need to be there and keeping people waiting. And
I'd say he got a flyer in his semi-final.
100%. He got. I've seen them pulled back for less. And when you sit back on the replay, you could argue he just made a really good start, but it was one of those things. It was a little bit of sort of poetic kind of justice that he made a howky in the final, and Bewley was. I mean, I wouldn't have grudged Bartosz Szmarzlik or Patrick Dudek the win at all. They both rode fantastically well, but Bewley was the only one. Although I never saw Dudek complaining, to be fair, but he was the only one that you never saw complaining. Had a smile on his face the whole night, and he was a fully deserving winner. And yeah, all right, the meeting wasn't a classic. The racing wasn't fantastic by any means, but the occasion is what it is, and it's it still has its.
You don't think that Dan, like I know him, Dan Bewley he saved his best start 4 laps for when it mattered the most?
100%.
When you watch it, it was absolute. I mean, in fact, let's face it, Bartosz Szmarzlik is no slouch on one of them things, and Dan Bewley was pulling lengths on him all the time.
Oh, it was absolute. I mean, to say, I mean, Bewley even said himself, it's maybe not the most, it's maybe not the most impressive race I've ever won. But do you know what? When you're leaving somebody like that standing, normally when you're beating Bartosz Szmarzlik, you're just beating him. You know what I mean? He's hunting you down all the time.
You're defending
all the time. But he had no answer to him. It was brilliant, and it was the best rider on show all night, and for me anyway, and it was a thoroughly deserving winner.
The other thing that was mentioned, which I liked, and it just shows the class of the man, was when Nichols, obviously when I watched it back, when Nichols interviewed Crumpy, and was, which I feel, I don't know if it was up to Scott Nichols to do it. We don't know what he gets told to say or anything like that. But he was almost trying to make it out that, the track's terrible, just something to complain about. And Crumpy just looked at him and went, "We've ridden on worse," and turned away, which is right enough. They've ridden on worse. There was Grand Prix. I had a poster on my bedroom wall when I was a kid, and it was Crumpy winning a Grand Prix, or not, maybe not winning it. You boys, James or Marty will guaranteed to know this. And it was absolutely pissing down. The weather was terrible, and I think it was Sweden.
There was a German GP I remember
could have been that one. And Crumpy, everything's just mud apart from where he's pulled the tail off. and it was just
That
it was
picture-
horrendous.
That
And they
picture
just
won
rode.
trophies for how good it was because of the
Aye.
conditions.
Yeah.
I want to say it was somewhere like Melilla in Sweden.
I think
Could have
it could have been Melilla in Sweden, but yeah, it was just. They have ridden worse, and they do cancel meetings are quite quick now. I think sometimes like fair enough rider safety has to cut like the monsoon that we had, as I talked about before at Berwick that night. You couldn't get a tractor around there, right?
No,
you can't do that.
With that. The other
But
thing is as well.
there's been
No, sorry, on you go.
no, just that the tracks do take water, and I think you've just got a lot of lads nowadays that don't want to ride it because they don't want to get dirty, they don't want to cup, they don't want to slide off. They say rider safety, you're no really going that fast when the conditions are that bad. And I know I was banging about it when I go back to the Kent meeting that me and the rest of the Bullets went to last year. That was horrendous, but we rode in it, and it just proved the fact that you can ride. The racing's not very spectacular, but the scoreline was pretty decent to watch. So, I think, I don't know how much money it must cost to cancel a meeting, just because especially it's just the clouds are coming over as well, and then you got to change the fixtures. Redcar at Plymouth, and they cancelled that meeting without it, the day before. I just think it's a bit mental, but that's probably a story for another day.
But you don't think to be world champion, you've got to take them all on, is the phrase. So you've got to be able to ride temporary, big, small, whatever the case may be. And yes, as a spectacle, it's been well documented. As a spectacle, it wasn't overly great, but in hindsight, it happened. The guys got on with it in the main, and the ones that didn't do well, because you start to overthink it, in my opinion. And if you get on with it, you'll reap the rewards. Although it did, I wouldn't have fancied 4 laps from that place on Saturday night. Would you, Greg? You would have been all right. You would have been on the fence. Riding round it, that is.
There was nothing even there, but I think I don't know. I don't like to say if you think about where you were going, because they're the best riders in the world, but I think a lot of it was a mental side of it, because riders were hearing about the complaints about the track, they were complaining about the track, and they were going out with the wrong mindset. Whereas if you were like Dan Bewley and you were sitting in the pits and you're hearing everybody going on, I would probably, if I was at that level, I'd be thinking, I've got a chance of winning a Grand Prix here, because everybody else is hating it. So I'm going to use this to my advantage, which could have well been what Bewley's pit crew said to him. Everybody else is hating this. You just go out there and ride your bike and make starts.
It's that football analogy, isn't it? You can do it on a Saturday afternoon at Old Trafford, but can you do it on a Tuesday night at Stoke or Middlesbrough or whatever? You've got to be able to adapt.
No, that's it. And moving to the Sunday, where we saw the SGP2. I would never slag off Speedway. It's a sport that I love, and I would never say anything bad about it or whatever. There's been bad decisions made, but you have to get on with it. I think it's absolute farce that they cancelled that meeting before the semi-finals. They cancelled the semi-finals and the final. Just even seeing Leon's face, we hung about at the end, and Leon and a couple other British riders came round to wave at and Leon was like that. I mean, when you've got the 8 best riders in that meeting, them boys, it's either you let them out, and if you don't want to ride, then the boy that was next in the standings goes in, or we have a three rider semi-final. You know what I mean? And it was shocking that they did that. They left it to that point in the meeting to say enough's enough. There was 3 heats.
Well, you either race it to its conclusion, or you don't race it at all.
Aye, yeah. They should have.
Surely.
They knew what the track. They knew what the track was going to do after the Saturday night. Why didn't they just cancel the thing altogether? You know, I'm not. You know, who knows what would have happened? Leon could have popped out there, got in a position in the semi-final, made the final. Could have done what Dan Bealey did, made an absolute flyer of a gate and never been passed because the track was hard to overtake. And Leon could have won the Grand Prix. I just think that not the fans weren't robbed. I think that them lads were robbed. Them under 21s, they were the ones that suffered the most. I mean, we got in obviously with our tickets for the night before, which I like that. You know, there was no extra charge. It was just did you lads go to that meeting?
I went to it.
No, unfortunately not.
Did you even have to?
Home.
Did you even show
No.
your pass?
No.
You could. Joe Bloggs could have walked in there. Nobody got.
Yeah.
So you know, it was basically a free event. So in that sense, yeah, I think the riders in that meeting got robbed from it, and I don't know whose decision that was, but I think it could have taken a bit more.
What did you make of? Obviously, they were grading the track every 2 races. Now, that to me, I understand that something had to be done based on what happened the night before, and I understand that you have to be seen to be taking action for what was or wasn't done the previous night. And I don't want to get into it in a big way, but see, as a meeting, it just didn't flow at all, did it? Grading at that level every 2. I would like. I don't know really anything about track preparation like that, nor would I profess it, and nor am I criticising the guys that do it, not in the slightest. But it seemed to me that almost grading it to that sort of level and that nth degree was almost to the detriment. I would say that it didn't make it any better or worse as what it would have been if they degraded it every 4 races, for example.
Yeah.
It's hindsight to sit here and say, oh, they should have done this, or they shouldn't have done that, or they should have done this differently, or whatever. But I don't know. I couldn't help but feel that it was almost overkill and to the detriment. But by the same token, I also appreciate that something had to be done based on before. It's a double-edged sword.
It is tricky with an indoor event. Obviously, it's a lot harder to and the heat that was in there as well. I think they were up against it.
That has to have played a massive factor.
Did they not say that the shale it was the same shale they used in 2019?
Was it?
Well, apparently the shale is pretty old, so there's absolutely no moisture in that at all, and it was delaminating. It was just coming off in chunks, which was the problem. But I do know, and it's maybe a wee bit too early to say it, any swear words, so I can bleep them out. But where on the Saturday night there was a man, he must have been a good 6, 7, 8 rows behind me, and he had a Yorkshire accent, and I don't know if he works on a track or he's been in a track man in his past, but he was shouting, "What the fuck are they doing?" he like, that was everybody else was just sort of like chatting away when the tractors were graded, but this guy was raging about the way the track was getting done. So I'm no expert on the track, but the guy up behind me was certainly
I did have to laugh when somebody said the orange tractor was on for a maximum.
I saw the best tweet I seen was that they were having to call it after heat 20 because none of the guys were under 21 anymore. I thought it was brilliant. As the guy had won the meeting and it was now his 30th birthday or something like that. It was quite good.
By the way, speaking of that, I never, no disrespect to the guy, Yankovic, he can't be 21 or under when this photo come up on the screen.
It's a hard paper and
bloody hell, he looks older than me.
Do you not know what his nickname is?
What's that?
Weird Al.
Oh, is it?
Paul will get that one.
Weird.
Is that?
Paul's looking at me perplexed. Do you not remember Weird Al Yankovic?
No, I can't actually. No.
Oh, there's some songs.
Yeah.
I used to do the Mickey taking like Michael Jackson or
yes.
I think the last one he done was, remember Coolio had Gangster's Paradise.
Right.
Well, Weird Al Yankovic done Yamish paradise. It's just American piss take. That is copyright, I would say. I think it was Graham Munsey at Edinburgh Speedway.
I can't remember who it
tweeted
was. Someone on Twitter
Somebody
said
from-
that. I told you it was Graham, but if it was, whoever came up with that is an absolute genius. So
Aye, comedy banter at its best.
that's good. I tell you, it was obviously it was good because it meant that Leon got a ride in GP2. But is it Timmy Solonen, the Finnish lad? I was gutted when I realised he wasn't riding on the Sunday because he put a very good show in at the Speedway Nations too when it was on. I thought he'd be really good to watch, but alas, it wasn't to be. We'll have to wait until another round to watch him. But however,
I have to say, when Leon won his race, not naming any names, but quite a big name in at Berwick Speedway. Obviously, I was sat with Sarah watching, and Leon won his race, and he came round and he was, waving, and I turned round, and the fella who's got quite a lot to do at Berwick turned round, and the tears were rolling down his cheeks, and just waving the flag, going absolutely mental, and it caught me off guard because at that moment we were all sat with all the Berwick lot at that point, and the majority of them, and I just felt right there and then that was like a big family moment. And Sarah went, "Oh, I'm going to have to stop looking. I'm going to go." And it was just so, like, if you could bottle that, it was just wonderful. It was just wonderful to see, the emotion. It was brilliant. So yeah, that was probably my highlight of that day. Was like just seeing that brought it to me that it was like, yeah, that this weird sport that is apparently a minority sport can bring out emotion like that just because one guy's gotten at the start better than the rest and held onto a bloody bike for 4 laps. It's a bit crazy, but
you know him personally.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, isn't it?
To be honest, when Dan jumped out the gate on the Saturday night, it's never happened to me before. But when he come down that back straight in front, when he got out the gate, I screamed that loud that my vision went, and I had to sit down because I had a sore head. But
are you sure that's all it was, Greg?
No.
Are you sure that's all it was?
Not taking that at all. That was all that was. No convincing me.
Mate, it's $6.50 a drink in the stadium. I'm guessing that it was right.
Yeah. I tell you, I did watch the when I did watch the meeting back. Every time the camera went round to the crowd, I was lying in bed watching it, going, "Oh no, please do not, please do not," because at every opportunity I was dancing, and I'm like, if they zoom in on me and I've no noticed while I've been there, I will never live it down. So I did have I had a bit of fear all the way up there, but yeah.
Where were you on the Saturday night? Were you up in the gods?
Yeah, we were up in the gods. We were at bend 3. Yeah, we were at turn 3. Kyle Bickley said he knew how to get there. Walked up. We were at turn 1. So
Oh, sorry, I thought it was going to be a joke.
Oh no. Well, that's Kyle was like, "Oh, come with me. I know how to get there. Right, I no bother." Went up. Kyle, the starting gate's there. We're meant to be over there. Oh shit! I had to come all the way back in the stairs and then walk away round. So that was good fun because in that heat I was just waiting for a seat, and Kyle, follow me. Good job he's not doing motocross.
Keep it simple. Keep it Speedway. Left and left and left.
Exactly that. And so, Paul, you've been quite quiet. Did you get to see much of the Grand Prix? I know you were at a wedding in Devon, was it?
I did. I got to see Bandits live at Birmingham and Disaster for the first 4 heats, and then comprehensively won the sort of second half of the meeting there, but only picked up a point. And then, yes, I did. The wedding was on the Friday, so on the Saturday, I made sure that I got tuned in to the Speedway. Once we got back from a party, I had to suffer the Brentford Man United game, the first half of it, but then I got to watch the Speedway. And I wanted to ask you guys a question about the track, and that is that if you remember a couple of rounds previously, was it the second round was in Germany at Ostro? Yes. Have I pronounced that right? That track was also heavily criticised, and you saw likes of Robert Lambert trying to ride that track, and it reminded me of Carlos Villa at times, like riding this sort of bucking bull, as it was. I mean, this isn't the first time that the track has come under criticism this season.
No,
and that's not a temporary track, is it? No, but who is it that's responsible for these tracks?
Well, it's
Razor.
Phil Morris.
Is it really
Phil Morris, ultimately? Phil Morris in the FIM.
He looked like a stressed man on Saturday during that meeting.
Did he look as stressed as when him and Michael McCoskey used to have their ding dongs?
Probably more so, to be honest. I bet he was when he was in a ding dong with McCoskey after that. But it's one of those things. I'm not going to knock the guy for the job that he does at all, or anybody else. I think that was just one of those nights where they were on a hiding to absolutely nothing, and nothing they could have done could have made that. You're on trying to keep moisture in that material. You weren't going to keep moisture in anything, in that heat. And again, they had the roof closed, which makes it like a sweat box inside. If you had the roof open, it would have been worse. So you can't win. It's just one of those things, unfortunately. And
they should have really got they should have got some of the fans down, like myself especially, with that material that the Berwick top's made of, and just run that out on the corners, because there was plenty of moisture in that. I can tell you that now, lads. Like, every time I stood up, I had to keep pulling it off my bloody back. It was, and I felt like I was the only man in there sweating. But then when you turned round and you just seen the shine on everybody's foreheads, you're like, this is ridiculous.
It was like sitting in a greenhouse, wasn't it?
It was. Actually, it was.
You know what I did say to some of the lads that were there? I was like, we're up jumping about and having a good time, and I could understand doing this with this kind of heat, a music concert and a Speedway event and that. But imagine sitting in this watching like tennis, where you're no jumping about. You're just. It must be, that's dedication to a sport, that to be able to sit in that kind of heat. Fair enough, we could jump about. Oh God. Aye, a good friend, Kevin Little, likes to go into cricket, and I've asked him how he does it when it's that hot, and bloody hell, it must be torture. Must be torture, even just having to watch cricket.
Well, that was very nice chat with you there, Greg. If you're going to slag off cricket, cheerio.
Paul, what would you say if Speedway stopped so that the riders could go and have some tea? It's tea time for the riders.
Well, that's basically what happens, isn't it? Because when you think about it, a normal meeting is 15 heats, and each heat takes just over a minute, and yet normally it takes about 2.5 hours. What I was going to ask though was, we saw some close-ups certainly on TV of the track. And there seemed to be shale, but some pretty big stones in there as well. Was there any mention of the fact that the quality of the shale they got for the track wasn't the normal standard? No.
No, I haven't seen it back.
No. All right, okay.
I did know that I'd heard on the Friday. I can't remember who said it. Someone in the pitch. I think it may have been Gary Flint, that had said something about the qualifying, obviously because Leon was there on the Friday at the pairs, that there was quite a number of stones on the track. So I don't know if they had to do something about that on the Friday night, but I don't know. I think you again, not trying to disrespect anybody or slag the sport off, but you'd think after 20 years they would have a rough idea how to sort out the bloody track. You know what I mean?
Well, the reason I asked the question is because before the Birmingham meeting, they interviewed the guy that leads the consortium. I believe his name is Nigel Tolley. Mm-hmm. And he said, yes, we're definitely running next year. And we've already got 11 or so riders desperately keen to ride for us next year. And we're going to get 16 ton of shale and clay from Berwick. So I mischievously put a post out that said that, obviously we've sold our track to Birmingham, but maybe we're getting some better stuff in part exchange. But it is true that the shale and clay around the area from Berwick down to, say, Newcastle and across to Carlisle is particularly good. So I'm just wondering if maybe it was just a sourcing issue that they should have gone with the shale that they were used to and maybe went for a cheaper option.
Yeah, like I say, I think it was kept in storage, as some of the lads were saying. I think that's I heard that rumour as well, that the shale was quite a number of years old.
The issue in the past. There was a year where they kept, like you say, they kept the shale in storage, but they didn't dry store it. It was wet. So when they went to build the track the following year, it didn't bind properly because the shale was saturated. And the way it had been stored, and that might have been Ollie Olsen's last year, which I would say was about 2014. I remember Casper's having a bad one, and it was down to track conditions. And but the thing is, Greg, you said it, or Paul, it's not the first time they've beaten Cardiff. It's the 20th one. The stadium layout hasn't changed. And they know that, but like we all say, we can talk about it, but we don't know how to do it. So,
yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
Well, I've got one other question to ask, and that was about the obviously Newcastle. It's all the Speedway stuff is away from Newcastle, from Rough Park. But if you remember, Glasgow went there, and the meeting was abandoned. Berwick went there the year before and just rode through it. And that kind of backs up what you were saying about the fact that Leon, he wasn't going to go around complaining about the track. Just get on with it. Same with Dan Hewley. Don't complain about the track. Just get on with it, and make the most. Like you said, there's nothing better than hearing everybody else complaining about the track when you're thinking, it's okay for me. If they don't fancy it, I certainly do.
That's right. I mean, I remember a podcast I listened to a little while ago where we had James Greaves on it, and Greaves, he was in the pairs with Joe Screen, I think, if I'm right in saying. And the track, it rained, and everybody was kicking off about it, and they were going to just wait for the rain to pass. And Greaves, he said that he just looked across, and Screen, he just winked at him like that, and he knew then that they were gonna go and win it, because everybody else was kicking off. And I have been in that situation myself as a rider, that you've got people coming back in, especially at Berwick. You see the other riders come back in. You're sitting there with a helmet on. You've got a rough idea of what the track's going to be like. You're ready to go out your race, and say their number 3 and 4 come back over, and they go, can't ride that. It's absolutely... And then they're telling their teammates that I've already got an advantage because he's going to go out there and think, oh no, this is going to be hellish. But you just have to ride through it, and it does sound mad. The faster you go, the easier it is. It's so much.
Saturday night, Paul Chapman and Sons Arena in Leicestershire, Greg Blair and Luke Cran, National League pairs. Whether FA or every chance it could be. Not Greg's favourite track. Somebody comes in, first or second race, and they got a deaf fancy it. Greg's like, I fell my arse the last time, but I crapped it before I left. This is my night.
That's what I've been saying, and I've been quite open about it as well. I've done 2 laps for Leicester, 2 laps with a bit of anger in me, and I just went, I hate this place. and pick the bike up, and I just come into the corner flat out, like I think I just kicked off if anybody heard that.
Yeah, Alexa.
Yeah, came in hard, and I was like, oh wow, I can ride this all right. The quicker I go, the easier it is. I've been speaking to Crangy. Says, right, are you pumped for this? Are we going to do it? I can't repeat what Crangy said.
You can. We're after 9 o'clock.
He was gonna rip the tits off it, is what Crangy said. And yeah, we're going there because I would think, let's be honest, me and Crangy going there will not be favourites. I would say that the Thompson twins being on their home track at Leicester are probably going to be the favourites. Certainly have, but it's a team event.
Exactly.
Unbeatable. You know what I mean? No, there's nobody on there that's there that night that's unbeatable. You know what I mean?
Ben Basso went through the card on Friday night. At
I was
Oxford,
going to say that's seamlessly
unbeaten.
moving on to the.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Went through the card unbeaten, but Glasgow got knocked out in the semi-final.
Did somebody forget to tell him it's a pairs event?
Well, I don't know. It's like I did think, why not? Like my idea, I've watched the Speedway Nations and I've watched pairs. I've never been in a pairs meeting. Well, I have, but I got wiped out within seconds. My idea going into it and the team talk that I will be having, which is probably about the same as everybody else will be having, is nail last places. And if I'm sitting in second and Crangy's at the back, I'll do everything I can to try and put off the guy in third. It's I wouldn't like to say it's easily done, but you can certainly slow a race down. And judging on what that rider's like, you'll be, without being dirty, you can still work at it. And that's the only annoying thing is, me and Crangy have hardly had any track time together, like the odd heat 15, which is the only thing.
Very often.
But then again, that might work in your favour because you two years will not be overthinking it. I ride with Greg every week as a pairing with the Bullets, or every other week or whatever. So you possibly not be thinking about it as much as what you would be if it was like a 1 in 5 that you get heat 13 every time you're at a meeting.
Yeah, exactly that. So no, it'll be all right.
The one piece of advice I'll offer you, and it's worth absolutely nothing to you, is make sure the team riding is better than the last Bullets meeting, because that was some of the worst team riding I've ever seen in my life. You guys were racing one another. It was awful.
Yeah, it was a bit. Well, there was just one guy racing it. That everybody else.
I don't know. Like there was more than one of you at it. I'm telling you.
Oh, was there?
There was.
I wouldn't have known anything about it. I was too far in front.
As usual.
The worst I've ever ridden, and I got a maximum. But to say it's the worst I've ever ridden, it's the worst I've ridden, but it's the best gates I've made. To have four consecutive bang out the start. It was, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to it, and I just hope we can bring something back, because it's been a long time since Berwick's had any silverware of any sort.
I'm going to say, I want to ask the Oracle this: has Berwick ever won any pairs event?
No.
I don't think so. I remember. I think I once went to a pairs. No, I'm sure it was a 4-team. I don't think I've even been to a pairs event.
Certainly not at a national level. They may have won a pairs event for a testimonial or something like that, but not at a national competition or obviously the only one there is. Certainly. So, but the Bullets, they're in the playoffs. They've got a chance to emulate the class of 94 and 95 and put their names down in folklore as the third team, albeit at a lower level, but still a league title is a league title, and it's not to be sniffed at any level.
Yeah, no, we've worked hard for it, and we're going, all the boys are really fired up for it. We're really excited. The chat has been like plenty, because when the fixtures for the playoffs come out, when's the date? we're all really excited to get stuck into it. And I think the fact that we don't really care who we get, we like, obviously there's some preferences, but I just want to go out.
Ultimately, you're going to have to beat whoever you face
Yeah,
anyway. So
exactly.
it's almost irrelevant. And another thing is as well, you without being disrespectful to any, you probably won't be favourites.
No,
you know,
not
and that's
no.
not always a bad thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think last year we were favourites for the title, but it was because they didn't have the playoff thing. We'd just been that consistent.
Yeah.
Mildenhall, with the accident that we had at Mildenhall, that was it, gone. There was no recovery there. And we're not favourites. I think Leicester are going to be favourites.
They look favourites to me, to be honest. I would say they look a really strong outfit.
But I mean, you never know what's around the corner. Speedway's a very, very strange sport in that sense. We don't know what's going on, and the thing that I'm enjoying the most out of it is that, like, the hype is about the bullets around Berwick anyway. You know, that's what everybody's talking about. The Bandit season unfortunately hasn't been the season that we thought it was going to happen. You know, we lost Theo and Leon early on, and then we got an injury with Jai. We've had a few changes. Ty got injured as well, and then Jonas with the bloody visa thing. It's just like, to look at that team on paper at the start of the season, you would think, oh wow, you know, this is going to be good. And
I think most people did. I think most people thought that. I know I did. And I think you always have that when it's your own team. I think you always have that air of optimism, no matter who they sign. You think, you know, maybe it could be our year and whatnot. But
yeah,
I actually think that it was, you know, there was a genuine hope there, in it rather than maybe misplaced optimism.
Yeah.
Or hope rather than optimism. I think there was a genuine belief that they probably would go out and do something. And you know, the first 2 or 3 meetings, it certainly looked likely. And then, you know, one injury, then another, and the pace fell.
So you start getting the home defeats and the rot sets in a little bit. It's game over.
Yeah,
to a degree, because
I don't think
you've got to win your home matches.
Yeah. Bread and butter.
It's all about timing, isn't it? The timing, like when you lost Jai, that was just crucial. The way he was riding at the time.
Yeah.
They guys are hard when you get a 6.5 point man, like averaging just over 8. You can't cover that loss.
Not when the guys are going to cover those rides at rider replacement. Also have an untimely dip in their form as well. For reasons, it's one of those things that happens. Not criticising anybody whatsoever.
No.
But yeah, it was just, you know, none of the rest of the guys in the team that were covering those rides were hitting a purple patch at that particular time. You know, it just all went wrong, all went south, and unfortunately, it's just another season. That isn't to say that we haven't been entertained at you know, plenty of times along the way.
Chris Harris has been fantastic. You would if I would say you would still probably you would still get a crowd at Shielfield if it was Chris, Berwick, Bandit, Bomber, Harris is against Redcar. Just Bomber and Redcar. Just a one-man team, and you would still get people to go through because the man is just exceptional. And I mean,
it's just been unbelievable to watch at times. You know what I mean?
And I think so you can say Leon's had a great season. He has. He's come on leaps and bounds. Just with what I've seen, and speaking to Leon as well, is that Bomber's brought him on. You know, they've obviously hit it off pretty well. Just the fact that he wanted Bomber in his pit crew for the Grand Prix. He's got a wealth of knowledge with what's going on. He's a very, I'd never spoke to Bomber in my life until he came to Berwick, and he's a very easy man to speak to. He's just, he likes a bit of a laugh, likes a bit of a joke. you know, we were having a
fortunate
laugh.
enough. Sorry, Greg.
Oh no, go on.
I was just going to say I had a quick word and a photo opportunity with Chris on Saturday, and I just said to him, I says, "Oh, by the way, like normally on a Saturday night, I'm standing up on a gantry, me and my mate, and we've got microphones in my hands, and we're getting a bit overexcited and shouting and talking nonsense." And his wife went, "Oh, I recognise the voice now. Oh, right, aye." And she says, "Oh, we do get a laugh at the 2 years. Some of the things he's come out with." And I says, "Well," and I pointed at Chris and I went, "Well, it's him." I says, "Well, Chris, some of the gaps you go for." I was thinking, how do you get through them? And he just turned and went, "If the handlebars go through, the rest is coming through." I walked away thinking, you can't argue with the logic. I mean,
it's like something about the cat's whiskers, You know what I mean?
Exactly. I was just going to say that. It's funny, I've watched Bubba, since I was a kid. I've watched him racing and just always been mesmerised by the way he rode the bike. He's never a give up attitude. And yeah, he had a dip. He had quite a big dip in his form a good few years ago, but he was still battling on, and he still wanted to be there, and he still wanted to represent Team GB as he does now. And
he still like the moment thrown in among it, though. You know what I mean? Like it's that old thing, and a kind of phrase that like form is temporary, but class is permanent.
Oh, that's it.
Like it's so true with that.
And the best part is that I watch him, and then sometimes after having like a little conversation with him, afterwards I'll think, that's bloody Chris Harris that I've just been chatting away to, and it's mental. And the Oxford on Friday night, we were in the pits clearing up, and he was like this with his body armor because the zip had burst, and he had it over the top of his head, and he was stuck, and he was trying to pull it like this, and I went, "Bummer, are you wanting a hand?" And he was just like, "Would appreciate it, yeah." So I had to undress him, and then again walked away from there. And usually it's just I've just been speaking to Chris Harris, and then I was like, just undress the man that I've watched growing up, and I was like, he was just stuck in his body armor. But no, he's a top bloke. He's a top bloke, and it's just little things like that. And I tell you, actually, while I'm on the subject about the pairs, anybody, why do you think that Gary Flint never used Leon Flint in the pairs meeting? Do you think he could have won silver or gold if Leon had been there? Which was the wind up in the pits afterwards. I says, "Flinty, I'll have to get you on the show and ask you the same question I asked Neil Vatcher. Why didn't you use him?" And he just laughed about it. The little bugger had to go and play on his bike at Cardiff, but it was it was going to the Oxford thing. You lads were there, were you? You went to.
I wasn't, unfortunately, but I watched it live on the stream.
Which is the handy thing about the another thing at the BSN, because you'd have missed that, which wasn't the best of meetings, but we were very unlucky, when it was pool against, who was it, for us to get we'd get a chance in that was right, it was Pool Redcar, and Redcar went out and beat Pool, and then in the final, one of the Pool riders' bikes packed up. If that had happened, if that engine failure had happened again, then we would have been, things might have been different. It was difficult. It was gutting to see, but it was a good night, and we did ourselves proud.
The thing I will say is that I think everybody would have expected before the meeting that Chris Harris was going to ride the way he did and score the points he scored. However, I think Jai Etheridge probably didn't get the plaudits he ultimately deserved, because he rode exceptionally well, having to fill big shoes. You know what I mean? Because when you read some of the comments, they were saying that like basically it was So it was a difference between us winning and losing. The pairs potentially not having Leon there, but and yes, would it have been different if it was there? We don't know, possibly, but I don't think Jai Etheridge could have run any better. You know what I mean? It's seeing him back on form. You know what I mean? It's good to see.
I think that's pretty
points.
No.
We were tied on points with Redcar, were we not?
Yeah.
It was on count back, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on the count back. So
So the guys like put a shift in. You know what I mean? I think that they did. They deserve plaudits for giving.
And as ever, with a Berwick performance, if they put a shift in, yes, it would have been nice to win it. But you appreciate it. And yes, John Short, I remember Antonio Lindbach playing the bin outside the pub on Saturday night, just to add to that little comment the scene before. It wasn't actually Antonio, but Kenny Tate reckoned that the bloke was a dead ringer for the Rio Rocket. And he was trying to fathom out some sort of tune on the bin, but never mind. That's off on a tangent. We'll leave it there.
I have to say the Berwick support at the pairs was like brilliant. I came out of the pits and walked along, and you saw there was there was only a lot that had a flag up on a pole, so you couldn't miss it. When we got to the track, Sarah was texting her mate saying, "Where are you?" And she just got a Snapchat back of the Berwick flag, and she was like, "Where's that?" "Oh, there it is." And off we went. And when I went round the corner, Kenny and all the rest of them Norman they all started chanting Bartosz, Bartosz, Blair, Bartosz, Blair at the top of the lungs. And everybody else round about hadn't a clue what was going on.
Well, Bartosz Blair's had a bit of a trim tonight, isn't he? So if he's tuning
for noticing. Oh, listen to it. I've still got to. Well, I've got to get up to that airport, but I've still got to get a shower because I'm going to be itchy. I've never had time to get it out. There was a lot of hair coming off. I'll tell you that now. I've been waiting for it. It was 7 weeks I've been due.
How are we doing for time, Greg? Are you all right? Or I reckon what sort of time it?
Well, we've been going for an hour now, so.
Well, it takes me. If I leave now, I'll get there for 11 to pick up the. We need a nickname for Jonas, but I don't know. I'll ask him on the way down the road what we could. I'm gonna have to get you in interview mode and pick him up. Just stick the phone on record. So then, Jonas, how do you feel about next season? Are you going to come back to the Bandits, or are you looking elsewhere? But he's already told us on here he was going to go back to Berwick. So.
He's coming back. Yeah. Yep.
But bizarrely enough, lads, I got recognised from this show at the weekend. Very bizarrely, some Redcar fans said that they were like, "Oh, yeah, I've seen you on that show." The guy with the glasses and the beard. Thinking, who could that be? And said, "No,
never mentioned the shirt."
That's what I was thinking.
He keeps him for Saturday night, so doesn't he?
I do indeed, yes. I didn't even wear that at the wedding. I threatened to, but didn't.
There was a guy that stopped me, and he said, "Oh, this was at Oxford again." And he says, "Oh, Greg, I love watching the show." And I says, "Oh, thanks very much." Says, "We all love doing it." And he says, "But you did say that our track's rubbish." And I says, "Oh, what track's that?" And he hit the flag, and it was Leicester. And I looked up and I went, "Well, it is." got a bit of a smile off him, and off I went. But it was pretty cool. It was it's a weird feeling. Someone speaking, but like I say, everybody that's watching this, whether you're watching it live, whether you're watching it tomorrow, or even if you're just listening to it in the car on the way to work, which some people may do, thanks for listening. I mean, I'm on a recording a podcast, which is Around the Bend podcast on Sunday, which will be aired on Monday, and I'll be definitely plugging this show. I'll be plugging, what's that? It's
JB.
JB Media. Yeah, that's the one. I like to write that down. JB Media. I'll be, just chucking it out there and spreading the word to the other Speedway fans to get them on, and Paul's dog as well. I'll give.
Yes. Nearly as famous as the rest of us.
The wife's back from the bingo and let her back in again.
Bloody! Did she win? Ask her if she won.
I haven't had a chance to ask her yet, but
she was just waiting on your number.
If she had won, do you think she would tell me? No,
probably not.
I think she would tell me if she was to win anyway.
I used to pick my granny up for the bingo all the time, and I says, "Did you win anything?" And she would come in. And she was like, tea bags that were like, for like 2005 that somebody spun in the back of the cupboard, and custard creams and stuff like that. And I won £1. Oh, great! I see you drank plenty of brandy while we were there as well. She was stopping back at the car again.
Mind you,
all jokes aside, that's what a lot of people actually got the bingo for, because the beverage cheap.
Exactly. That's Alan Catanack likes the bingo. I've seen him a few times.
He went on Saturday.
Yeah.
To avoid the sun. Aye.
Yeah.
Aye. I reckon if he won though, but aye. You don't go with him like Paul sometimes.
I've been at the bingo at Gala, and Alan's been there. Yeah.
Ah.
Right then, let's go on the bingo in the off season. We'll make a night of it.
Yep.
No, you're all right. We'll do something different, but I'll not get the bingo.
No,
come on.
Hold on a sec. They've got the main bingo hall where you have to actually be quiet, concentrate on the game, and then they've got the lounge where you can be as rowdy as you like.
Oh, that sounds more like my sort of thing.
Yeah,
I would be if you were to hark back to the days of the what was it at Spittle, the bingo that they had in Little Promenade.
Yep.
Prize bingo.
Prize bingo, yeah.
Aye, that I could just about manage, but all that, nah, it's not for me.
I'm not gonna lie, lads. I'm not gonna lie. I never thought I'd see the day I'd be talking about bingo on a YouTube live chat. But there you go.
Well, I was about to bring it back to Speedway because I thought we were going to have a track day.
A track day?
Aye.
What, on bikes?
Aye.
Oh yeah, we've talked about this, haven't we?
Aye.
Now,
who would like to see us four in a match race?
on bikes.
Look at Paul's face.
on push bikes.
Well, any sort of motorbike, bicycle.
I think we could arrange this. We could certainly get something on up at Dunn's in the winter,
we could do it for charity night.
We could do a charity. Yeah, we could do something for the Ben Fund. Well,
how many? What about this, Greg? How many laps at Dunn's would it take to do? Yeah, maybe even all the northern tracks pedaling, because we're no really athletes like yourself or getting aboard them Java monsters or GM monsters.
What? How do you mean?
Just taking a hole here.
I like how you said that. I don't recall these conversations.
Well, we'll do something, and we'll do something for the Ben Fund, and we'll do something in the winter, which involves, especially the three of us, getting on a bike, because it's kind of, I'd feel a little cheap if I was to like, oh yeah, I'll ride a speeder bike for charity. Well, I already do. It's myself.
You could,
us three get the speedway bikes and you get the push bike.
That'll do. Yeah.
Paulie would still beat us because I think we'd even get the thing started.
Well, there we go. That's something to look forward to the winter time. We'll do some kind of, and we could get Graham to film it. It would, and we could do some sort of live stream thing.
We'll get Kenny and Norman to do the commentary.
Yes, they could take over. I can see this being good. If anybody watching has any suggestions for us to do some kind of charity thing, if anyone wants to get involved or even join us, we'll try and raise some money for the Ben Fund. And all suggestions are welcome, as long as it's not skydiving, because I'm not fucking skydiving.
I've already come up with one suggestion, haven't I, James? And that is to recreate a classic moment from 1989. And Graham
you did mention that.
And Graham was there in the bar. We lost to Exeter by the margin that, had it been the cup, we'd have been out the cup. And there'd been pressure on Berwick all season, so they had a party. And one of the funniest things I've ever seen, this was long before people ever did air guitars and that. Where's he gone?
No, I'm just changing my trousers.
Air guitar. And Mark Courtney got Dave Blackburn to play air drums to Golden Earring, Radar Love. So, James, you've come up with an even better version of Radar Love, and we're going to get Greg to do air drums, Radar Love by White Lion.
White Lion, yeah. Just because it's got a big drum solo in the middle of it.
Exactly.
I'll do whatever, but I think, I don't know. I'm got this drive up to Edinburgh is going to be handy, because I'm going to be thinking the whole time about what I
you've got your driving trousers on.
I have. Well, I don't know where my driving shoes are though.
Oh, your brother.
Look at this. We're live. We're still live. No, I'm wearing sensible shoes tonight. We're live and we're getting ready. And I've got 2 crash helmets. I'll take one for Jonas as well, because you might need it. So there we go. Well, I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna pick up our Danish legend. Mm-hmm. Oh, he's texted me. Yeah. Flying now, so should be 1:30. 1 hour 30. Flying now, 7 minutes ago. So that's 10:30. Oh, so I've got. No, that's 10:30.
Yeah. 10:30, Greg. Aye.
Yeah. So anyway,
Greg, any news on Nathan?
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, I spoke to Nathan at Oxford, and he's, strangely enough, he's not a lot of pain, but he has got, it's damaged. The swelling on it was quite large, but I said to him, "Oh, are you having difficulty with sleeping, etc." And he says, "No." He says, "No pain." He says, "It's just, it's just stiff and stuff like that." So I'm not sure if he's got, with the meetings that Berwick's got left. I don't know if we'll see him on track again, which is unfortunate. But I think, I don't know what you guys would think, but I would quite like to see him back at Berwick again next season. Because
I was just about to say, Nathan's efforts in the black and gold has been nothing short of superb. And
I'd agree with that.
The thing about it is he was starting to really get to grips with Shielfield, and he was getting on pace, and it's just an unfortunate thing that happened. And, for his effort alone, I would love to see him get another crack at it.
I can't help but feel that if he got an extended run in a team, whether that's Berwick or whatever, that he would come on and become a sort of, he's an asset to the team anyway, but I think he would. You would start to see him kind of make that, because the effort's there. It's just everything else that needs to fall into place for him. And if he got a sort of injury-free extended run in a team, I think you would start to reap the rewards of that. But you were starting to see it, but you got the impression that a decent score was coming his way. That was reflective of his efforts, but unfortunately, we all know what happened. But there've been a lot of people that viewed that video on Facebook. Certainly, it had a lot of views on his crash. It was spectacular, to be fair, but ultimately very painful for him by the sounds of it.
The one thing I would say about Berwick is that, and this is just the Bandits and the Bullets, this season, I have not seen teams support each other as much as I have with both teams after win, lose or draw, and that's just in the heats. the team's out and we're all cheering each other on and patting each other's backs, and you don't really get that much of it with the other teams. We all look after each other, and that's credit to, like, Scott and Jamie and everyone else that's involved.
That's how it should be,
really, it's nobody's like, if you have a bad race, you get looked after, and if you have a good race, you get to celebrate with it, and then the boys are asking you how you done it so that you can move that onto your stuff. And I think Berwick's not had the best of seasons, but they've been a group. We've had a great bloody season. Building on something. There's not been any dramas. There's nobody really been in the team that I can think of that is a dick. I think everybody's just pretty sound and everybody gets on, and that's in both teams. But they do say if you don't know who the dick is, then you are the dick. So
I know we don't know
that. I think I've kind of just buggered myself up now.
Do you fancy the Bandits for a wee win tomorrow night, Scunny?
Aye.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible. I think I don't know, Jonas will obviously never ridden there before, but that's not phased him anywhere else he's went. So ultimately it makes us a little bit stronger. But than when he's not in the team. I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to think so. It'd be nice to get another away win on the board. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. What you think yourselves?
Scunthorpe's one of them peculiar tracks in as much as, although it's flat out and you're turning the bike the whole time, and it's as wide as the M6, I reckon the best form of defence is attack round there, because the riders can come at you, they can pull more lines than a Bart Simpson chalkboard. I mean, it actually is that sort of track where you're inside, outside, how do you defend round there? You just can't. You've got to just, I don't know. It's flat out, inside, out. I'm lost for words. It must be so difficult when you're in front.
Yeah, there's no way of defending it, is there? It's just.
I don't think so.
No, I say it's a track that we've historically had been either very good at or very poor at in the past, and we're nothing in between. We've either went there and done well, or been there and been honking. But well, it'll be interesting to see. I'll certainly have a keen eye on it anyway.
Would they be right in saying Scunny got a guest? Was Zane Kennedy at reserve when he got hurt?
I think it was. I don't know. I haven't seen the teams for the meeting, so I don't know. But they can get a pretty good guess at how that. Just to touch on Zane Kennedy, did you see his crash?
Yeah.
I did.
Frightening.
See it. Greg's lived it in a previous life.
Yeah, I know. Aye, it was very. How on earth he only picked up the injuries he picked up, which were bad enough, obviously. But that is, with just that, I do not know.
I've got the Scorpions team here. It's Ryan Douglas, Simon Lambert, James Wright, Jake Allen, Tero Arnio, Adam Moynan, and Anders Rowe.
Anders Rowe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did sign him, didn't they?
And can you see that message that's cropped up?
There's
oh my gosh.
Travis Williamson is a good friend of mine, but have a guess as to where Travis is from. The clue is the fact that there are two counties next to one another. One is called Travis and one is called Williamson. So he is known as two counties. From
that could be pretty difficult when you've had a few beers.
Yeah. All the way from Texas.
I see.
Yeah.
Amarillo.
I think it's Travis Williamson because he's in between two counties.
It's it's interesting that Travis' name is Williamson, and he's near Austin, I believe.
But
I'm right in that sense.
Travis, there's only 3 jocks on here.
Yes.
One's an impersonator. But I think he's got his Scottish passport now.
I think I just about have. I
Got
think
resident.
I just about have. Yes. Eventually.
In fact,
Eventually.
Paul, are you know a bona fide pale milk now?
I think so, yes. I think so. Going back to Jonas and his visa, did you see that comment by Norman Clark about the fact that, you know, he should have come across in a dinghy, he'd have got his visa sooner?
No, I didn't, but he come away with a belter on Saturday night. I was speaking to John Short, who I know watches the show, and John was asking me about James and I's commentary. And he said something like, I enjoy it, you players should be on Eurosport. And Norman wasn't in our conversation, but he just lifted his head and turned his shoulder and said, it should be on Euro Disney, and never went Eurosport. Quick as a flash. So thanks for that, Norman.
Thanks, Norman.
With friends
Lovely.
like that, eh? Yes.
Lovely stuff, that.
But he does make a sort of valid point about the dinghy situation, but if it's sorted now, that's the main thing.
That is the main thing, yep. No, I was just wondered if, when I asked about Nathan, if we know if he's not riding this Friday, but is there a possibility next Saturday that he'll be available for us in our last home meeting for the Bandits at least?
It's a tricky one, that, because if he's not, does he try and ride and he only has one ride and he's got to pull out? The only thing I would say to that is if he declares himself that he wants to have a go and Gary lets him,
yep,
we have to have a number 8 that night that can step in case, you know, he's not able to complete his rides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know who that would be.
I think Bartosz Blair should fill that role.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. Is it not you and Luke that sort of alternate the number 8 duties, or the filling in at reserve when needed?
Yeah, if not saying that it's the last hope sort of thing, but yeah, we do it. We're quite happy to do it. We love it. And just to go on it, here's one to check out. Me and Luke are going to have a combined age of 62 at the pairs meeting on Saturday. So we've got a couple of. It's going to be Dad's army going out to out there.
The Algins.
The Algins. Aye. Last of the summer wine.
And will you get comments from the other riders to that effect?
No, not really, because everybody's still shocked when they find out how old I am.
Yep.
He says with confidence.
100%. Confidence is key. I'll tell you that now. I'll tell you a little story about my trip away. So, obviously, we finished at Plymouth, and me and Sarah went for a little bit of a touristy thing. And we got to Land's End. Now, I didn't realise that you had to pay about £7 for parking. So we're driving up to it in the queues there, and I seen the little guy in the box who was taking the money off people are holding the phone thingy. And I'm like, well, it's a one-way. So it wasn't like I could just like turn round and go back because there was no way I was paying £7. So I pulls up to the window, and the guy says, £7, please. And I went, oh, I've actually left something in the car park, and I've turned round to come back and get it. Is it all right if I just nip in the car park, pick it up, and then head out again? And I don't know if the guy just heard my accent or genuinely believed me and just couldn't be arsed to argue, but he let me away in. And then to go and get the photo next to the Land's End sign, it's £15, £15 to get a photo next to it. So I just said to Sarah, "Howie, come on," and we just took a selfie over the railing with folk looking at us. Didn't really care. Jumped back in the van again, and then just went and floored it back out. Saw the guy looking at the van, but I didn't care because it was Drew's number plate. So then this guy get to doing for it. Confidence is key. Just fake it till you make it. That's a top tip I'd give everybody.
Did you get
I got
accommodation all right?
eh?
Did you get accommodation all right? Because I know you were sort of saying, I've not really got anything planned.
Well, we slept in the van, which was a disaster because, not saying it wasn't uncomfortable, but it was roasting hot till about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then at 5 o'clock in the morning, the heat was just ridiculous. And they all start work really early in there. So, like, we just pulled up to a lay-by somewhere, and the car's going by, and it was like, oh no, can't be dealing with this. And plus the fact, it was just, the heat, it was ridiculous. Sarah's mum, and if she's watching, thank you very much. She actually said to us to get ourselves a hotel on her one night, and we booked a hotel. And the plan was, let's get to the hotel, both get showered, and we'll go down to the bar and we'll have a few drinks because it was a right posh hotel. And I'm not just saying like where I'm from. It wasn't like a Premier Inn. It was a posh hotel. Like I was taken aback with this place. So we went in, and the woman was all very, she was an older woman, and she was the manager. She was very, very polite and took us to her room. And the aircon was on, and I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant. Sarah nipped in for a shower, and then I jumped into the shower after her. Came out, we both had the robes on, that you get in the hotel because it was that kind of posh. Had the robes on and laid on the bed, and I said, we'll give it 5 minutes and then we'll get ready and head into the bar. Woke up at about 3 o'clock in the morning, still on top of the covers. And I went, oh, well, we've missed the bar. And I just went to sleep, got up in the morning, had an absolutely fantastic breakfast and a bit wander about. So, yeah, it was tiring, but it could have been like being in a foreign country. It was the weather that we had in there, the sights that we've seen, without boring everybody about, there's nothing worse than seeing somebody else's holiday photos unless you're spitting in a bikini. But it was, there were cracking places to go and things to see. And apart from the fact I was just so miserably tight, we went to Tintagel. And they wanted me to pay like £17 to go over the bridge, and I'm like, I didn't want to buy the fucking bridge. I just want to get an hour it. So I turned round in the queue and went, no chance, and went a long way round, and went to Merlin's Cave. So I Cardiff. I felt like there's a lot of Americans and Aussies and Dutch and that they were quite happy to pay that, but I'm not paying that to walk out. I've seen the height of the bridge. I've got a terrible fear of heights. I couldn't have got over that without. I'd have frozen. I'd rather look like a tight arse turning round away for the paying bit than freezing on top of the bridge and crying for my mum. So
less of the two evils.
Oh hell, aye. There's plenty of other stories, but I can't go into them when I'm live. But there's a. It's been a trip to remember. Let's put it that way.
Oh well, good.
So
sorry, I'll let you away. Sorry, are you
I'll let you get this one, and I'll head off.
I was just going to say, I thought on Saturday there might have been a chance bumped into you at some point, but you were obviously elsewhere or otherwise engaged. And
well, I did see you boys. I did see you boys plenty of times, but I kept managed to hide.
Like this, you're on about people confusing your age, Greg. When we were on our way down to Cardiff on, it was Friday, we were going down, we were obviously on about the meetings and stuff like that, and I had Alex, my nephew, with me, and I says, I says that GP2 will be quite interested. There's a couple of lads for Berwick in it. I says, Ken, Jonas and Leon are riding it. All right, I says, is Greg riding in it?
Is he not? Take me back. Don't want to watch it.
Yeah. When I turned up at the under-19s, and they were like, I was like, no, I'm just here to watch. Just bringing Leon's bike round the corner, and Kevin Kay's like, I was like, just here to watch. But no, it's thing. I tell you something. if you are gonna go and spend a week away, do it when I do it, because that's 2 heat waves that the UK's had this year, and I had my weekend away in Kent while we had that heat wave, and then I've just done another week down in the west, in another heat wave, and Kent was that was obviously ridiculously hot, which was we actually we done some sightseeing there, and oh, she'll kill me. Aye, God.
Did they do it then?
No, we were. There's a married man. We done some sightseeing, and when we went through the Dartford Tunnel, Sarah didn't realise that that's not where Princess Diana was killed.
Jesus Christ.
But in her defence, Sarah, as much as she has got her Scottish accent, she was brought up in Mauritius, so she's not really like it's mad. Her geography, her British geography is like a child. She has no idea how far away anything is. You know, she's so it's quite strange that for someone to be in the 30s not to know, but she's not gonna know because she's not really from here. But the poor lad lives in right. But yeah, you do just off the top of your head, you know how far away something is from your house.
And to be fair, us on here, you sort of associate Speedway with it, so you know.
Yeah, aye.
Or there's a track there, or a track here, or
sadly, it used to be a track there.
Yeah,
exactly.
So there we go. But well, gentlemen, I'll love you and leave you, and I'm going to head up, get Jonas, have a bit crack with him. And if Jonas, if you're watching this in the plane, a nice chilled Red Bull wouldn't go amiss in a collection.
Well,
I bet he is watching.
Aye.
What are nicknames for Jonas? What could have? I don't know. Jonas the Bonus King or something? Or
Jonas the Bonus. I like it.
Jonas the Bonus. Right?
Are you coming to you coming to the airport as well? And I said Newcastle. That'd be a disaster. Hi, Jonas, I'm here. Where are you?
Can't see
Edinburgh.
Holding the sign.
Are you talking to Ollie? Are you talking to Ollie?
Yeah, there he is.
Oh, let's see him. Hey.
We're going.
Come
on then, let's go.
He's keen to go.
Right then. We'll catch you later.
They never got a trip down south.
No, he never. A week I left him. I'll never do that again. Poor little bugger.
Aye.
Right, Jags. Well, I'll leave you to it.
Good night, Greg.
Ta-ra. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Right, now that we've got rid of him, now we can get on to the sensible stuff. No, I'm only kidding. I'm going to let you guys go. Are you going to Alan's tomorrow to watch the Scunthorpe?
I'm not sure yet, to be honest. I'm not sure.
Right. Well, we might see you there tomorrow then.
Possibly, I'm not sure what tomorrow's plan for yet. But
bugger it, he's back.
Yeah.
I heard you.
Right. Glad you enjoyed your birthday, Marty.
Yes, it was tremendous.
You deserve it, Alan.
And I had no idea.
Yep.
I had no idea, and it was a nice surprise. Obviously, I didn't know I was going to Cardiff, but
yeah,
it was a nice surprise on the day just to see what goes on in pit lane and see all these ex-riders. And as I said at the top of the show, I got to meet, in my opinion, the greatest of all time. So, yeah.
So
I couldn't really say any more after that.
Greatest of all time? You mean Mark Courtney was there as well?
No. The greatest of all time.
He never even got a maximum main top Barrington Loft, did he?
No, but I think he can, if you want to play top trumps, but I think he can raise maximums around Barrett and Loft to a different level. But you're right, he didn't. I don't think. Well, no, actually, he did. I'll tell a lie, he did.
Did he? Yeah, I think he might.
Yeah, but it's a tricky one because the night that he got his maximum, There was no Kelvin.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any Nilsson.
Yeah.
Jimmy Nilsson. Richard Knight might have been there. So, but even still, you can only beat what's in front of you or behind you.
I mean, for me, I think very high on that list, I would have thought would be Mark Laram, who I did see.
Top of mine anyway.
Get a maximum at Berrington Lough in '88 and just gated. 6 superb gates gone. I get what you're saying.
I've seen that on VHS, I think, which would be one of Graham's videos, and he must have, I don't know, he lost his gait in progress when he turned 21 or something. But boy, did he make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did I know just?
Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, guys.
We've been spoiled.
Yes. Yep. I'm going to let you guys go, and if you are at Allen's tomorrow, that'd be great. And if not, then it might be next Saturday that we see you for the last meeting of the Bandit season. But hopefully, we'll have a few more Bullets meetings to go, and split plenty of opportunities to use every cliche you can possibly think of up there in the gantry. But my all-time favourite has to be a Smug as a Monarch. That is definitely my favourite.
Well, who knows? There might be some new ones that I've dug out from Cardiff.
Yep.
And James might be the same.
Yeah, there's a fair old chance.
Good stuff.
Excellent.
Okay, guys.
Anyway.
I'll say cheerio. Thank you very much, as usual.
Good night, everybody.
Cheers.
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 Bye for now.